have people following us online, and I look forward to the discussion that we'll be having here today. As mentioned, we'll turn our attention to the welfare of horses in equestrian sports, a subject that has been recently gained renewed attention across Europe and beyond. While horses are often regarded as top-level athletes in the sports, concerns are growing about physical and mental challenges these animals faces in high-performance disciplines. As scrutiny increases from citizens, NGOs, and within the sport itself, questions arise about whether current welfare standards are adequate and how the sector addresses emerging ethical expectations. We are particularly interested in hearing how behavioral science, veterinary insight, and public expectations are shaping the debate. Our goal this morning is to provide a constructive space to understand how the welfare of sport horses is assessed and safeguarded, and to explore what improvements might be needed to ensure that the sport is not pursued at the expense of the animal's well-being. We're pleased to welcome three excellent speakers that are joining me, two of them here physically and one online. We have Mette Uldahl to my left, the first Vice President of the European Veterinary Association and consultant in animal protection Denmark. We have Ingmar, the first President, Ingmar, who is sitting right next to me, who is President of the International Equestrian Federation. And then we have online Alana Chapman, Campaigns Officer for Research and Education at World Horse Welfare, who's joined us online. I will get back to you, and you will get the chance to share your perspectives with us. So we're very happy that you've joined us here today. Just a couple of quick announcements before we kick off. We have a standoff for the wolf, a joint photo action before today's plenary. 20 minutes before today's vote, the Animal Welfare Intergroup and Eurogroup for Animals are organizing a photo opportunity in front of the hemicycle on the south side to oppose the proposed downgrade of the wolf's protection status, whose proposal will be voted in the plenary today. This symbolic action will highlight the need for a science-based conservation and the strong protection of wild species. MEPs are warmly invited to join and show their support for biodiversity and wildlife conservation. Before we begin, I'll just mention that this meeting is live streamed on Interactio. It will be recorded, and the video recordings and presentations will be uploaded on the Intergroup webpage. Interpretation is provided in English, French, German, Italian, and Polish. Now we will proceed with the presentations. And our first speaker is Mette Uldahl, as mentioned, the first Vice President of the European Veterinary Association and consultant in animal protection Denmark, with a special focus on equine health and welfare. She will share a scientific perspective on how elite sport affects horses' well-being, including behavioral indicators of stress and what science tells us about best practices in care and training. So Mette, the floor is yours, so you can turn on the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the invitation to speak today at the Animal Welfare Intergroup meeting. I have really looked forward. My presentation outlines the challenges facing horse welfare in competitive sport. I'll present background and potential solutions. What I'm going to say is not about targeting individuals or groups or eliminating horse sport. Rather, it is about creating a future-proof equestrian sport grounded in ethics and sustainability. My area of expertise is to represent the horses. They are central to the sport, yet without a voice. Beyond the welfare of the horses, this is also about protecting the broad equine community across Europe, which holds not only emotional and cultural value, but also significant economic importance. My name is Mette Uldahl. I'm a researcher, a veterinarian working with animal welfare, ethics and transformation of cultures. I'm first Vice President of the European Veterinary Association FVE, and I work as a consultant for organizations like Animal Protection Denmark. This figure from a recent publication I co-authored with Professor David Meller illustrates a methodology for translating ethical principles into practical animal welfare standards, legislation and regulation. The key point is this: the outcome for the animal varies depending on whether we prioritize the animal's perspective or human interest. In any human-animal relationship, there is a balance. How much do we value the horse's experience versus the rider's goals and desires? This fundamental ethical question lies at the heart of efforts to modernize welfare standards in horse sport. Horse sport consists of various disciplines designed to entertain and impress by demonstrating a horse's ability to run fast, jump high, or perform specific movements. It is, in essence, a form of human sport using animals. We know that human competitiveness is driven by deep biological instincts, psychological dynamics, and social factors. Riders are not exempt from this, despite their good intentions. Research shows that under competitive pressure, performance and recognition often override horse welfare considerations. Historically, performance was thought to reflect good welfare. We know this is false. As prey animals, horses may perform even under stress, fear, or pain. Welfare must instead be evaluated through objective indicators such as body language, tail movements, ear position, eye and facial expressions, and all behavior like open mouth. We urgently need to educate equestrians in modern equine behavioral science, much of which is relatively new and still developing. While tradition plays a large role in the equestrian world, not all traditional practices align with contemporary welfare standards. But is education alone sufficient? Unfortunately, no. Human nature, particularly the psychological drivers of competition, makes reliance on education alone insufficient. This is well supported by human behavioral science. We also need to have firm governance and regulation. And let me illustrate this with a specific example, the bit. The force applied through the reins directly affect the pressure on the horse's soft oil tissues. The bit functions as a tool for negative reinforcement. Pressure is applied to prompt a response and removed when the desired behavior occurs. However, excessive or sustained pressure can lead to significant injury, including all lesions. Studies show that such injuries increase at higher levels of competition, with up to 23% of horses in some populations affected. These injuries are often linked to open mouth behavior, an attempt by the horse to relieve pain. In some cases, this behavior exposes the tongue, and growing evidence widely reported in the media show horses with blue tongues indicating oxygen deprivation. These images have rightly sparked public outrage. For example, in the image shown here, the red arrow marks compression from the bit. The yellow arrow shows the tongue's blue coloration, and the orange arrow indicates normal tissue color for reference. Such signs must be treated as urgent welfare concerns. In dressage, open mouth should result in lower scores. Consequently, overly tight nosebands are commonly used to suppress visible signs of discomfort, thus masking poor welfare. More recently, photographic evidence has revealed unusual sticky substances applied inside the mouth, likely to conceal tongue discoloration. Unlike natural foam, these substances adhere to the tongue and lips and raise serious concerns about efforts to hide physical indicators of distress. Some riders, driven by competitive success, may attempt to suppress or obscure the horse's expressions of discomfort. We see ear mobility restricted by tightly fitted ear hoods, tight nosebands that limit mouth movements, and even substances concealing injuries. Practices that compromise the horse's ability to communicate to outside observers. When we try to ask the horse, "Are you okay?" In addition to these concealments, the media has exposed repeated cases of direct abuse in elite training environments. These are not isolated incidents, but indicators of deeper structural issues in how horses are trained and managed. The widespread use of restrictive and sometimes harming equipment, the normalization of stress behaviors, and the failure to respond meaningfully to scientific and ethical evidence points to a structural problem. The evidence for reform from veterinary research, behavioral science, and ethical analysis is overwhelming. Yet resistance persists. Why? Because change is difficult. Human psychology is prone to resist shifts. To see requests for transformation as attacks, especially if they threaten status, recognition, or income. This resistance manifests in denial, deflection, and euphemistic language, such as calling a whip an animator. To move from performative gestures to meaningful reform, horse sport must adopt mandatory, enforceable standards. These could be grounded in 3 key principles. The horse welfare must be the highest priority, not only in words, but in action. In competition, horses must be assessed based on their objective mental and physical state. Behavioral indicators and physical condition must guide decisions as a primary filter. Horses showing signs of pain, fear, or discomfort must not be rewarded or ranked. Harmful or coercive equipment must be prohibited. Equipment that reasonably risks causing pain, injury or suffering or fear must be banned. Tools that fix the horses in rigid positions or mask body language must not be used. All training and equipment must comply with learning theory and avoid punishment and coercion. Independent oversight is essential. Equestrian sport cannot regulate itself, not due to persons, but due to the massive interests. Independent advisory boards must be empowered to question practices, raise concerns, and ensure transparency. With these principles embedded, it is entirely possible to align horse sport with modern standards of welfare and public expectations. The ultimate question is simple. Who should be the real winner? It should be the rider who presents a horse that is comfortable, confident, and capable. Thank you.
Okay, Mette, thank you very much. That was very clear, and yet I'm sure there will be questions and comments from the audience and colleagues here today. So we will move on to our second speaker, Mr. Ingmar de Vos, President of the International Equestrian Federation, FEI. As the governing body for equestrian sports globally, the FEI plays a central role in setting and enforcing welfare standards. And Mr. de Vos will present the Federation's current approach to animal welfare, as well as how the organization addresses the public concern and scientific evidence in shaping its rules and oversight. Mr. de Vos, you have the floor, 10, 12 minutes, as Mette. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vogelsang, and also thank you, Mette, for your presentation. As mentioned, my name is Ingmar de Vos. I'm the President of the International Equestrian Federation, based in Lausanne, and we are, and I think it's important to mention that we are responsible for some parts of equestrian sport, but not all. We are responsible for the equestrian disciplines in the Olympic Games, jumping, dressage, eventing, in the Paralympic Games, para-dressage, and besides that we have also endurance, driving and vaulting. So we are not racing, we are not polo, we are not horseball, we are not tent-pegging or western riding. I want to make that clear from the start, because these are other governing bodies that are taking care of that. As mentioned, we are very proud also to be an Olympic sport. We have been now confirmed again for Los Angeles 28 and for Brisbane 2032. And I think we will try in this very short framework, because we can, I mean, if we will try to give you an overview of what we have been doing, but we can talk about this and make presentations for hours. So we will try to do this in a nutshell, but I hope that we will be able to demonstrate to you, first of all, that equestrian and horse welfare is our first priority, but also that we are a transparent organization, that we do everything in full transparency and under good governance. And we are recognized by the Olympic movement as the #1 international federation in good governance, and I think it's important to mention that. Of course, we are aware that we are under scrutiny, that there are some acts of wrongdoing in our community, and that there is a growing insight of the society that we need to take actions. But we also need to understand that we are living in a society that is more and more urbanized, where a lot of people have no connection anymore with nature, with animals, and that we also have the obligation to educate people in that field. And I would like to draw your attention to the picture in the middle there, because we were under a lot of criticism for that action there, but that was modern pentathlon, and modern pentathlon is not under the jurisdiction of the International Equestrian Federation. It's the Union of Modern Pentathlon. They have, in the meantime, understood that they need to change their attitude, and they even changed their format. And they have now, for the next Olympic Games in Los Angeles, and maybe they are still in Brisbane in the program, I don't know, but they have removed the jumping competition or the equestrian competition from their program. And I think it's probably the right thing to do, because if you want to manage equestrian sport, you need to do that in a very professional way. And the way that the Modern Pentathlon Federation did it was absolutely not in a professional way. So, first of all, I would like also to say horse welfare, horse well-being is the first priority of the FEI and has been that for many, many, many years. So this is not a new thing. And in the past, we have already taken actions that are maybe seem to you very simple, but they aren't. For instance, expanding our jurisdiction in case of horse abuse outside our limited jurisdiction period of 30 minutes before the competition and 50 minutes after the competition. We have now expanded for horse welfare that we can take actions against our members. all the time, so permanently. And that has already resulted in a lot of cases where we have taken sanctions against athletes or people that did horse abuse at their own yard or in their stables. No statute of limitation. It means that we can prosecute forever, even for deeds that have been acted years ago. So we can always take action if we receive the proof. And since then, we have been tightening our sanctions and our legal proceedings. And you can see that on our website. We have a lot of decisions of our tribunal that then are sometimes appealed by the Court of Arbitration of Sport, but a lot of them, and they are all published on our website. But that was, we felt, not enough, and already back in 2022, we decided to create the Equine Ethics and Wellbeing Commission, which is basically a group. It's an independent body, and I like Mette, you mentioned it's important to have independent scrutiny. So we had composed this Ethics and Wellbeing Commission in June 22, 10 members. We call them sometimes our critical friends, with people that have criticized the FEI in the past, and we invited them to be member of it. And even the chair of this group, Dr. Nathalie Waran, was certainly a critical friend, sometimes not so friendly, but we invited her to chair even this commission. And this was for us very important because we didn't want to do it ourselves. We found it was important that somebody else was looking at our organization, at our sport, to give us indications what we should do to improve for the future. And of course, we had also some people of our stakeholders involved in there, so that there was a connection with our critical friends and with the people that are from our community. You see here a timeline of everything what has been done, and very important to say that we have not done that in isolation. We have done that together with our community, and this is the timeline. And there you see that in the end we have the report with the recommendations of this Equine Ethics and Wellbeing Commission have been delivered to our board, and then our board has given our headquarters the instruction to make an action plan on this, and that action plan has been delivered to our General Assembly last year in November, and again updates are now provided on a regular basis because there are a lot of actions that we are undertaking. Important, as I said, we don't do that in isolation. We have also consulted with our community, but not only with our community, but also with the general public. We have done a survey, and we were very happy to see that out of our own equestrian community, 28,000 people have reacted to this survey, and from the general public, even 14,000 people found it interesting to react and to participate in the survey that we developed. And that survey was, and this is Mr. Vogelsang was part of the memo here, public perception. We wanted also to understand what the public perception was of our sport and what we could do to improve that. And the outcome was very clear, even in our own community, and that's, I believe, really important because it's about awareness, growing awareness. 78% of the equestrian stakeholders thought that welfare standards need to be improved. So this gives us a very clear mandate to undertake further actions, and Dr. Joran Akerstrom will develop on that. But also 52% of the general public thought that our welfare standards need improvement. So this gave us a clear mandate to undertake further actions and to look at what can we do. The outcome of the Equine Ethics and Wellbeing Commission, again, this independent committee, gave us 30 recommendations about 6 focus areas. And these 6 focus areas you see here, it's about training, riding, tech, equipment. I think Dr. Uldahl referred to this as well. Recognizing physical and emotional stress, very important. But how do we recognize that? Because there is a lot of people that we think, we feel, we have the impression that, but for us, one very important action is that we want our actions to be scientifically informed and not from hearing, saying. Accountability, of course, enforcement, very important, and knowledge, again. We are, of course, a sports organization, but we know that outside our competitions, there are the other days that the horses are not competing, that they are at home, that they are maybe training, that they are maybe in the prairie, and competition, even an eventing competition over 3 days. There is only a number of minutes that there is real competition, and outside that competition there is what we call the 23 other hours, which are also important. So it's not only important to have or to preserve horse welfare, well-being during the competition, but also outside the competition. Competitive drive, you also mentioned it, human nature, we want to perform. How can we educate people that they do that in a way that is acceptable for the horse welfare? And then, of course, no fit to compete, masking health problems, also including anti-doping. I'm a member of the World Anti-Doping Agency Executive Committee, but we have our own anti-doping for horses, and we are investing also there a lot of efforts to fight against anti-doping. So our board has then tasked our headquarters to develop an action plan, and I'm happy to give the floor now to Dr. Joran Akerstrom, who is our veterinary director and who is much more knowledgeable about all these scientific things than I am. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ingmar. Good morning, everyone. So this is the 37 action points that were approved last year by the FEI board. You will see in green, those are the ones that have been delivered on. That with delivery means that the initial project has started up, it has been reported, and now we move into implementation. And I can give you one good example of that just a bit later. The blue is what's ongoing, and the amber is those that are to be initiated. You will recognize among those the 5 domains which really focuses on the horse in center and horses' well-being, mental well-being particularly. After more than a year of research, design, and more than 600 tests on horses at competition, last week we introduced the mandatory noseband tightness measuring device at all competitions around the world, and it was hugely successful, and it's been well adopted by the community, although it was not everyone being happy from the beginning with it, but now it's really, really working. Another project that is absolutely key, Mette mentioned oral cavities. Here you see Mette in action, together with a few vets, FEI vets, and an athlete. We're focusing a lot on oral cavity health, but it's also critical that we work together with science, but also with our community. So in that project was also Ingmar Wolfram, who is a human behaviorist, specialized in the equestrian community, quite niched, but extremely useful to have. And she's also a member of the FEI Equine Welfare Advisory Group, together with Dr. Andrew McLean, Madeleine Campbell, who is veterinary ethical expert from UK. So in that group, we have extremely high competence, and they are to advise us on the direction. They are to be monitoring what we are doing. But absolutely fundamental is the ethical training methods, where the lead scientist is Andrew McLean. In that is, of course, also Professor Madeleine Campbell. And we are working with some of the best trainers in the world, and it's been fantastic to see how they take this message on board, which is very much about horse behavior, putting that into focus and moving towards ethical training methods. This is the fundament for almost all the work that we will be doing onwards. As Ingmar said, we need to be science informed. So we have developed this, we have invested huge amounts of time, but also funding into research. You can find more information about that on our welfare hub. We have a specific page on ongoing research, and I'll give you some examples of that.
Just that we are short on time. So 1 or 2 minutes.
Yes.
Right, thank you.
I'll be ready in that. So I'll give you an example here with somewhat select studies that you see. It's a huge variety from ongoing sniffer dogs that can be used to detect prohibited substance in saliva to a very advanced study that's ongoing now on biomechanics in jumping horses. The data collection was done collecting more than 200 million data points that are now being selected. And this is to look at horses' risk for injury, to minimize that as much as ever possible. So it's a lot of studies, and we're really focusing and investing in that because we need to be science informed. So with that, I hand over to Ingmar.
Yeah, so I don't have much to add, but I hope that we were able to illustrate that we take this very serious, that we are investing a lot in research, but also in the education of our athletes and their entourage. So thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, and we are happy to take any questions. And I invite you, as Dr. Joran Akerstrom said, to visit our horse welfare hub, which provides all the details that you need. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. De Vos and the FEI. Now, our last speaker, Madame Alana Chapman, who will be with us online, and you have 5 minutes, so we'll be a little bit strict on time so that we can also have comments and reflections. But Madame Chapman, you will reflect on, you are from the World Horse Welfare, and you have joined us online to reflect on the concept of social license to operate in shaping the future of equestrian sports. So without further ado, you have the floor for 5 minutes. And just to mention this, unfortunately, there's no translation because of the technical challenges, but I suppose you will speak in English. Is there any, do you hear us, Alana? You don't? Maybe the technicians can try to see if it's possible to get Alana through. Until then, I think we should use our time to kick off the debate here, really. And then we'll see if it's possible to get Alana through. So you just raise your hand, and then I will try to make sure you get the floor. And do introduce yourself so we just know who is speaking when you get the floor. So,
Sebastian, and Christina, Tilly, and
right. I think Christina was maybe the first. Sebastian, please.
Thank you, Niels. Sebastian Everding from the German Animal Welfare Party. Thank you for all the deep insights. I will continue with my questions in German. Vielleicht ahnen Sie schon, meine Fragen sind...
My questions are somewhat critical, as you may have guessed. That's to do with my personal convictions. My questions are somewhat critical in nature. Now, we heard about competitions, the Olympic Games. If you ask me, animals, if a lot of money is involved, have no importance whatsoever. You mentioned the athletes and the horses. For me, the horses are the actual athletes, and the humans are just sat on their back. And there's way too much abuse. And if you've got high-level events such as the Olympic Games, only humans should compete. No horses, no dogs, no animals. Now, we mentioned high-level sporting, which I believe concerns only about 10,000 animals. What about the hundreds of thousands of horses used by hobby riders? Very often they're treated like bicycles. You just get them out of the stables when you need them. They spend their lives in these small stables, and they are only ever brought out when they have to compete. Are you also considering these horses?
Thank you, Sebastian. And I think we'll take a round of questions, comments, and then we'll get back to the panel here. So, Christina, you have the floor. And
thank you very much.
Introduce yourself.
I really appreciated your speeches, and I will continue in Italian. I'm sorry. Grazie.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. This is the English channel. Is it coming across? Good, thank you. Cristina Guarda is my name. I'm Italian. I've got some 30 years of experience in the equestrian field. And I have to be sincere, in the last 10 years, I stopped engaging any sport with my horses because I've started to raise a certain number of questions as why we're doing it, for whom. It's what Mette was having to say that really I sort of am very much aligned on. I think we need to raise questions when it comes to the European Federation, but also the national federations. I think it's important that we train the trainers, so right from the beginning, in terms of sort of imprinting, given the sort of mental and physical time leads. I mean, working together with sort of young horses. I think what we need is a different educational approach to trainers, instructors, in terms of better horsemanship, more natural means of training horses, so that we can take away a certain number of instruments, use of the bit, for example, so that we can communicate more easily with horses. I'm training a sort of a draft horse, and it's lighter in terms of its movements than a horse using for jumping. I mean, it responds to the way I look at it. So I think we need to do a lot of work in terms of awareness raising, in terms of those at the head of national federations, because there's a lot of resistance, it seems to me, to adopting new methods. Two questions, therefore. The first is, are there innovative projects when it comes to protecting sports horses with a view to pensioning them off, not only at the top level of the sport, but also when it comes to horses used in schools, for example, or horses that pass hands from one owner to another? Are there any guidelines for adverse climatic conditions? In Italy, for example, we're thinking about holding competitions at night time rather than during the day in terms of adverse climatic conditions. And then the ill treatment. Some forms of ill treatment are tolerated in the equestrian area. When it comes to forms of sanction that only last a short period of time, forms of sort of punishment. I mean, I think we're saying normalization of some forms of ill treatment that don't last too long because they're measured in terms of their duration.
Thank you very much, Christina. Tilly, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation. Very interesting. I also had a daughter, and we also had a horse during nearly 8 years, and now I'm happy he's living not in a small box anymore in a school, but is free up. But that's as an anecdote. My question is very simple. What do you really expect from the EU? We have only right now, as far as I know, regarding horses, there is just a regulation more on the identification and registration, but there is no specific EU regulation or directive concerning specifically animal welfare of horses. There is the general framework on animal welfare, but as far as I know, so what would you expect really from us, EU institution, specifically the EU Parliament? What would help you in your work? What can we do in order to improve the welfare of the horses in your sector?
It's a relevant question. Maria, if you introduce yourself.
Ganz herzlichen Dank. Ich finde das hochinteressant.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting to be talking about horses. I rode quite a lot when I was a child, but I was never a pro athlete. The relationship between humans and horses is something that I always thought was wonderful. When you're riding a pony as a child and you can feel the joy of the animal, that's just a great experience. It's like playing with a dog in the great outdoors or stroking a cat on your lap. So I'm not against riding, but I wanted to focus on a specific point. Trotting, which I believe is a perversion. We are not allowing the horse to engage in its natural behavior, which is to run faster. So I'm wondering, what is your position on that, on trotting? I'm from Munich, and we've got this trotting arena near where I come from. So I'm wondering, are there types of racing you would condemn? This is similar to what was done with humans in the past when they were not allowed to run, when they only had to walk in competitions. But there are sports such as military riding where the horse's death is acceptable. So these are the two extreme forms I would be critical of, and I don't believe they have anything to do with the other disciplines. We have to move away from such perversions to make it clear to people that there is actually no ill treatment, and that means distancing ourselves from trotting and military racing.
Nina, and if you introduce yourself and come with your question.
Thank you very much, and thank you for this engagement today. I'm an MEP, a new MEP from Ireland, and I've grown up with horses all my life. From a very young age, I've been riding horses, and I come from a family that train and breed horses. So I'm very, I suppose, aware of the situation we're in here, a social licence, and how important that is. Welfare should be utmost a priority as well. I can't speak for all the sports that horses are in. I know the FEI have a huge part to play in that across Europe, but I suppose I can only speak for the industry that I'm in, which is the thoroughbred industry. And I know when I've grown up, my care for the horse is absolutely paramount, and that I need to make sure that that's my responsibility, and that a horse needs to be comfortable in what he's doing, and he needs to be enjoying what he's doing, because at the end of the day, they don't perform unless they're comfortable and are actually happy what they're doing. And that's my experience personally. And I know there's single cases or individual cases that need to be dealt with individually, and 100% behind that. If there's misuse or if there's maybe something that's happened, I do think the federation or the authorities over that sport need to act. But I do believe there is a situation where across the EU we need to act more on, and I believe that's equine traceability across the EU. And I think it's a huge problem that we need to address. It's getting out of hand. From an Irish perspective, we've huge traceability issues. Now within the thoroughbred industry we have a lot of identification. We have 5 types of identification on the one horse, which would mean its own passport, also microchipping, but also markings that is taken, and then an online platform. But we need to see this throughout EU on every type of horse, and that means leisure horses, that means any horse is not, every horse is entitled to have an identification, and I think that's where we need to work together. We have a huge problem in Ireland with a loophole with a third country now, which is the UK. We have an open border with Northern Ireland, and there's a huge problem there, and I think I want to use this platform that I think we all need to come together as stakeholders and try and engage at an EU level. I think it's something that's quite serious, and also food security as well we need to address. So I just wanted to raise that, and I'm willing to engage with you all on this, and I think it's very important that we act.
Thank you for that valuable comment. I'll give the floor to Hilde. So if you will introduce yourself and...
Thank you very much. I'm Hilde Voigtmans. I'm together with Nina. We are the co-president of the MEP Horse Group here. I'm a farmer's daughter, so I've been riding horses since I was a little child. I still have a lot of horses at home. And so I think I can only echo what Nina also says. I think if you listen here, I think the FEE is trying the utmost to putting animal welfare and horse welfare above the list, because if your horse is not healthy, it cannot perform. If I hear the vision of our colleague in front of me, like if you can put a horse in a small box and just take it out to go and perform, well, good luck. Good luck. You will not even get into the ring. You will not even get the horse into the ring. So that's really fake news. A horse cannot perform if it's not healthy, if it's not feeling well, if it's not taken care of properly. My impression, and that's something we want to do also in the MEP Horse Group, animal welfare, horse welfare should be above the list of priorities. Everybody cares about the horses. But sport horses, in my experience, are cared for very, very well. Sometimes I even think they're better cared than some children in homes. Honestly. They're better cared than children in Africa. They have food, they have drinks, they have proper treatment, they have a veterinarian who comes to look for. So don't put the scale where you have to put the scale. That's a little bit my message. But animal welfare, horses welfare should be at the utmost what I think that we should reflect on in Europe. Everybody who wants to, I will be short, everybody who wants to keep a horse can keep a horse. Although I think that some people don't know that keeping animals, keeping horses, need some vision, needs some professionalism. You have to know that the horse needs to have water, needs to have place to run, and that's something we should work on. But that's beside the sport horses, of course. And now I will conclude.
Thank you so much. And the last intervention, I believe, from our distinguished colleague,
Yes.
if you will introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Jagna Marczułajtis-Walczak. I'm from Poland, MEP from Poland. And I also have some background also with horses. This is my hobby from very, very young age. And also I have experience as a former athlete. I used to be a snowboard alpine rider. I entered to 3 times Olympics, and from this point of view, as a former athlete, and also I used to race in horse jumping contests. I know that what you have mentioned before, that the horses, sport horses, and not even sport horses, but in the recreation area, the horses sometimes have better life than some children and some other people. So, and also, as a former athlete, I must say that when you are going for Olympics and you want to achieve a gold medal or even bronze medal or some results, yeah, for your country, you take care for your animal if it's horse, because otherwise it's not possible to win anything. And moreover, I mean the horses in sport or horses in, I know that horses are still working in some places, yeah? They are working for people, so the people are taking care for them even more than for their families, I know that. And I'm quite afraid that we are going crazy in this point, like showing the photos with some, you know, piana w pysku. I don't know the word in English, but maybe the interpreters will take.
Foam in the mouth.
It's ridiculous that we are going in this way, because we are talking about the animals who are taking place at the Olympics or in the sports area, and why we are not taking care about the other animals who are in circus or they are used in a really bad way. And there was a sentence here today that from the German colleague that those animals are kept in cages. So tell me how to keep the horse in where? In your room? In your bed? It's not a companion toy dog. It's a big animal, and sometimes we need to really discuss in where we are, what we do, and not to go too far to protect, because we will go nowhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then we have 6 minutes left, so you both have 3 minutes, both the parties here. It's not a lot, I know, so this discussion could keep on going, but I will just give the floor to you, Mette, and then Ingmar, you will finish off. 3 minutes.
Thank you, and thank you for the very interesting responses. And I think you all touch upon the same things. Actually, it's about where is the level? How do we level this? And I think if you saw, thank you for the presentations. If you saw what happened when an independent advisory board looked into the sport, how much progression that led to. That led to so much and so much mandate for the persons working on this to actually go into work. And it also led to figuring out at which level are horses okay and at which level are they not okay, and how can we adjust, in sensible, It's not about revolutions, it's about evolution, but it's also about creating a mandate to make evolution. So I would just, my very brief comment is to just have a look at how the independent advisory boards help the sport to secure social license to operate. And there was a good question about what should the EU do? Well, I think as a very clear action would be to ensure that there was independent advisory boards to oversee all types of horse sport, because this is not only about equestrian sport, riding sport, it's about all types. And if everything is A-okay and we are at the right level, then there will be no problems. But we just need to know that there's such a massive economic and financial interest in this. And the last one, this will dribble down to the other horses if we do this. So it's not about forgetting any types of animals, children or horses. It's about us developing as humans. Thank you.
Very, very clear comment, Mette. Thank you very much. Ingmar, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the questions. And I think I'm very happy to see that I think this is a very good sample of the society with some extreme people, but with a lot of happily, luckily, moderated people. First of all, I would like to tell you one thing. The tradition, the relationship between human and horse dates from thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago and has grown genetically. So this bond is absolutely natural. But we know that this is what we say. What we are doing now, and this is part of our research, is to have scientific evidence for that, so that I can tell you that you don't have to worry anymore for the rest of your life about this statement, and that you can also become a protagonist of equestrian and the relationship with the horse. For our Italian friends, grazie mille. Training, coaching, education is one of our projects, so we are very much into that, and also with the national federations, because national federations are our agents in every country, and they are completely involved in what we are doing, and we are translating all our education projects also together with the national federation. So that's covered. climatic conditions. Very good question. I will kick that one to Joran in a minute if we have it. Luxembourg, what can you do for? What can the EU do for equestrian? I would say not too much, because I hope that we demonstrated that we are taking care of the situation ourselves. But we need European Union to help us maybe in two fields. One is transportation. Facilitation of transportation of horses that are athletes, that are sometimes stuck at borders, which is not good for horse welfare, and that's because of the legislation that our horses are stuck at borders and there are welfare issues there. Secondly, another point, development of the digital passport, which we are investing a lot of money in. Would be great if the European Union would recognize our digital passport as a way to do the traceability and everything. So that would be very helpful. Again, I will kick that to Joran. Trotters, we are not in trotting, so I cannot comment on that. But with regard to military riding, I can just make a reference to eventing, which came really from the military riding. We have adapted the format of eventing drastically, so that it's now only 3 phases anymore, and they are completely monitored under good horse welfare principles. So I would say, I think what we are doing is absolutely acceptable. It's nothing compared to what the military riding was in the past. Thoroughbreds, yes, we are working, because thoroughbred career is very short. It's only until 4 or 5 years, and then they are done. Luckily, we have a lot of programs for retraining of racehorses, because we can use these horses not at the top level for Olympic Games, but we can use them in riding schools. We can use them to promote our sport and to educate our athletes. And of course, I'm not a Belgian for nothing, so I fully agree with our Belgian colleague there. And I thank Poland for all your support. And yeah. So Poland, so for all your support, so thank you very much. You maybe something very short about the passport and.
Yes, because we are actually at the closing, but if you have
right.
A short comment.
So FAI is developing a digital passport. We already have technology. We applied it for the Paris Olympics with real-time traceability of horses around the hour. We collaborated then with the French Ministry of Agriculture, so they have had access to the whereabouts of horses. We are planning to introduce it so it can follow a horse's life with full traceability from the conception, from the reproduction activities that produces the horse all the way to the end of the horse's life, throughout and digitally integrity, with high integrity, so the data is safe. A paper passport disappears now and then. Cars go on fire, people lose them, and people falsify them. This will be much safer. So we're very happy to introduce that in 2026.
1st of January.
Yes.
1st of January. Thank you very much to all the speakers. I think we had a very interesting debate. We can see that there are many opinions, as has been mentioned. This is something which really creates both feelings and interest from many perspectives. Some ideas that seem to have rather broad support, such as independent advisory boards. That could be something to work with, but also a lot of other ideas. I think the discussion will continue. I hope the discussion will continue over the coming time, so we can improve what I think we're all interested in, the animal welfare, also in equestrian sports. So thank you very much. I will just say the next meeting will be the 19th of June. It will start at 9 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock due to room availability, and it will focus on the EU-Mercosur trade agreement and the animal welfare concerns linked to this. If you have questions, follow-up questions, I'm sure that perhaps you can write to me, the Eurogroup, or the speakers here, and I'm sure we will be able to get back to you. I'm very sorry that we didn't get to hear from World Horse Welfare. I think that they will be able to send the slides also to us so they can be uploaded. Thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you.
And please remember all the photo action against the downgrade of the protection status from the wolf right before the votes now.
20